Experiments and Calculations by Krishna's Mercy. चतुर्दश सहस्राणि रक्षसां भीम कर्मणां हतान्येकेन रामेण मानुष्येण पदातिना. Quote, those 14,000 Rakshasas of frightening deeds were eliminated by that one man, a foot soldier who was Rama. Valmiki Ramayana, Aranya Kand, 26:35.
I know we have touched upon this area before. It is a recurring theme, if you will. I think it warrants repeated emphasis precisely because of the landscape, which has not really changed throughout the centuries. The issue we contend with is that the non-believers insist upon evidence. They want some empirical data to prove that there is a God, that he can be located, and that worship of him is not the equivalent of children pretending to serve tea to one another in a playroom. I know that the typical response is to say that there is evidence everywhere. There is an abundance of proof, but the ability to recognize requires some type of qualification. I guess you could compare it to those abstract images, the ones that ask people if they can see the eagle or the tiger represented in the drawing. It is not until someone points out where exactly to look that others can notice. Is there not something similar with recognizing the highest being of all? Are there no experiments or calculations we can make? That is how we determine greatness, otherwise. We measure to create comparisons and distinctions. Those with extraordinary measurements in the agreed-upon assessment earn a higher status. Is there not some measurement we can take to determine that God has the highest stature of all?
His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada repeatedly de-emphasizes this tendency. You cannot realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead through an experiment. This is due entirely to our limitation in understanding. We cannot grasp the concept of infinity as it pertains to time and space. As a simple example, suppose that someone were to claim to be God. They show themselves to me. They do something amazing. I am ready to believe, but I have one question. How do we know that this person does not die? In response, they could remain manifest before me. I can actually see them as opposed to only trusting the existence of the unmanifest avyakta, which applies to both time periods, namely prior to birth and subsequent to death. Avyaktadini bhutani vyaktamadhyani bharat. Avyaktanidhananyeva tatra ka paridevana. Quote, all created beings are unmanifest in their beginning, manifest in their interim state, and unmanifest again when they are annihilated. So what need is there for lamentation? Lord Krishna, Bhagavad-gita 2:28. If this person continues to stand before me for 100 years, does that prove they are God? What about a measurement of 1,000 years? We have the testimony of Markandeya Rishi, who once witnessed the dissolution of the universe. He noticed that one person remained where they were, completely unaffected. He concluded that this person, in the form of a child, was indeed the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayana. Tavat shishorve shwasitena bhargav, so ant shariram mashko yathavishat. Tatrapyado nyastamachashta kritsnasho, yatha puramuhyadativa vismit. Quote, just then the child inhaled, drawing Markandeya within his body like a mosquito. There the sage found the entire universe arrayed as it had been before its dissolution. Seeing this, Markandeya was most astonished and perplexed. Srimad Bhagavatam 12:9-27. The problem is that most of us will not have the opportunity to take such a measurement. We will be gone long before the duration reaches 4 digits and more. We also cannot prove anything prior to our birth. We must accept the information on faith. The Supreme Lord is so kind that he does not relegate us to perpetual ignorance. He provides evidence in a manner that can be understood. For instance, in the Avatara of Sri Rama, he defeats 14,000 of the best fighters of horrible deeds, Pima Karma, in a single conflict. The Rakshasas are attacking as a collective unit. Even 4 against 1 is an unfair fight, but 14,000 against 1 is overwhelming force. Rama successfully defends. He is one Eka. He is a foot soldier, while the opponents can appear and disappear at will. This is one way to know God. But we should also understand that even this measurement has a limitation. Rama can defend against 14 million if he so chooses. Time Kala operates under his direction, after all. Kala has defeated everything in its path. Kala has yet to lose. Kala only takes away. Quote, Ekshaj means the measurement of our senses, and Atokshas means that which is beyond the measurement of our senses. Srila Prabhupada, Srimad Bhagavatam 3:19-25, purport. The defect in observation and experiment has a corresponding Sanskrit word. Harokshas refers to someone whose qualities cannot be properly measured. This is another name for the same Rama. If we put the entire globe on a digital scale, we can just imagine the reading. Take all the planets combined and place them on the same scale. This represents the universe, but that is only a spark of the splendor of the Almighty, who is always infinite in his glories. Yadyad vibhutimat sattvam shrimadurjitmeva va, tattadevavagachatvam mam tejosha sambhavam. Quote, Know that all beautiful, glorious, and mighty creations spring from but a spark of my splendor. Lord Krishna, Bhagavad-gita 10:41. We cannot understand God through empirical evidence, but we can still understand him. The way is bhakti, which is devotion. This land of birth and death is difficult to overcome, but with the favor of the Supreme Lord, we can easily cross beyond it. The highest being of all will provide the understanding necessary for seeing him, for identifying him, for worshiping him, and for always staying with him. Devi hya esha gunamayi, mam maya duratya, mam evya prapadyante, mayam etam tarantite. Quote, This divine energy of mine consisting of the 3 modes of material nature is difficult to overcome. But those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. Lord Krishna, Bhagavad-gita 7:14. In closing, that against attackers won 14,000 against 1. Of his splendor shone only a spark, devotion for our awakening to start, not from measurement to take, where limited assessment can make, because infinitely expanding so, bhakti the only way to know.